What's happening, guys? It's been a minute since we talked about some Thanos wins, but right about now I think it's time we revisit this conversation because there's been this lingering question of where did Thanos go after defeating the future version of himself. So we're gonna talk about that for a minute. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top so you can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so earlier on this playlist, we talked about the journey of Thanos throughout Marvel Legacy and how it picked up with Thanos escaping from prison from Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 148, and Thanos number 1 really just carried it from there, with things like Thanos returning to the Black Quadrant and taking his throne back from Corvus Glaive, discovering at one point that he was dying, then going to the God Quarry. Like, a lot happened. And I cover it all on this playlist, Thanos Wins, if you need to go back and be cleared up on anything. But what a lot of this was doing was really just establishing Thanos in Marvel Legacy in the present day and introducing new things like the God Quarry and what happens if somebody comes out, what happens if somebody does not come out. And Donny Cates used Thanos and his son for that example, and we'll see more of that pan out as we get into Infinity Wars Prime and also the War of Realms. But his present day narrative took a hiatus shortly after he once again stumbled upon the Chitauri home world, and whereby with the rules of combat, the army is his to command. But this army really didn't get used because not too long after, he got kidnapped by Cosmic Ghost Rider for the first time. But he was sent here because the future Thanos gave him a piece of the Time Stone. So when he arrived here in the present, first he asked nicely, didn't work, so then he stopped time with that Time Stone and wrapped Thanos in chains that are forged from the bones of Sidorak. And this was all because the future Thanos had said he needed his younger self to defeat the Fallen One, which they did. But with the Fallen One being like the last person to defeat or the last person really left to kill, then came this issue with Mistress Death because she wanted one Thanos to be the true champion. And after all, the name of the story is Thanos Wins, not Thanos Ties. And as a result of that, Thanos couldn't tie, he had to win. And with the only person at that time left to defeat was himself, that's what sparked their death match. And for the older Thanos, killing his younger self still would have killed him, but he would have won. And for the younger Thanos, not so much enthralled about pleasing Mistress Death at this point, but he is Thanos and therefore he does not want to take a L. And that's another thing that's important to take away from what we've seen with Thanos, the younger Thanos, up to this point. Because in Marvel Legacy, he has veered from trying to please Mistress Death with everything he does. And that change of heart we saw most prevalent when he first left the God Quarry and seen Mistress Death. And his decision to walk away from her at that moment, in a way, was foreshadowing the decision he would make at this moment after defeating his older self and taking the Time Stone from him, or better yet, that piece of Time Stone. But the reason he took it was because he didn't want to win in the eyes of Mistress Death, because with seeing his future self fresh after having this change of heart, at that moment he decided that he would never turn out to be that type of ruler, and he would do so by taking that piece of the Time Stone, going back in time, and just never turning out to be that guy. But the question of when back in time did he go to, like where did he arrive at? It has been a mystery all up until recently. And really where he goes from here just makes a lot of sense. Because when he goes back in time, he arrives on Chitauri Prime right after he was taken by Cosmic Ghost Rider, and he really just picks up where he left off with new direction and a new purpose with a new goal in mind. And when he returns, he tells his army that he has seen the future. He lets them know that he's seen how it plays out, how it's going to end, and that they will be victorious, because he went to the future and he saw it for himself, and the rest of the narrative he was filled in by from his future self. So not only does he know that he will be victorious, but he knows how to achieve it. And I would even argue to say that from going to the future and coming back, at this point he even knows a better way to achieve it because of the knowledge that he has gained, and even from observing all of the mistakes of his older self. And when he gets back, he wastes no time. Like, Thanos is ready to take it all, but then he gets stabbed in the back. Oh man, after all of that, after seeing the future, coming back with so much wisdom, defeating the older Thanos who defeated the entire universe, battling with him and defeating the Fallen One who was the Silver Surfer with Thor's hammer, only to come back and be killed moments after. And at the time, no one really knew who this killer was, and it kinda was set up during Infinity Countdown, but Thanos wasn't here for that, so he missed out. But had he been here and seen more of the events unfolding around him, he might have caught the clues that this was Gamora, because she had recently left the Guardians of the Galaxy because they refused to help her retrieve the part of her that was missing inside the Soul Stone. And for her personally, that was a bigger priority. And with Adam Warlock refusing to give her the stone and Drax siding with Adam, she asked the remaining Guardians to help her, but when they refused, she left. And I think right after she left, she went to go see Infinity War on Blu-ray, and she was like, oh, that's how it's gonna go down? Thanos wins and he does that? You know what? I'm gonna take a little bit of advice from Thor, and I'm gonna go for the head, because I ain't going out like that. And going for the head is exactly what she did. But I feel two types of ways about this, because one, it's like, oh man, Thanos just got back, how you gonna do him like that? But with this new alias that Gamora has taken on, going by the name of Requiem, because just before she killed him, Thanos asked her, is she to conduct his Requiem? And she liked it, so the name stuck. But with this taking place and her, the new leader of the Chitauri, and her immediately wiping them out directly after, I like that this takes Infinity War's Prime into a whole different direction. And taking a narrative that has usually been synonymous with Thanos and eliminating him from the equation early on. But I do have to say, I do believe, much because of Requiem's comments or Gamora's comments, that nothing really dies. That because of that, we will be seeing Thanos again, possibly continuing his story with Mistress Death, but still seeing her as he did before, as in not someone that he feels like he needs to please. But I also wouldn't mind if he fell into the hands of Mephisto, and along those lines ran into the Fallen One who he had killed in the future. And I know that one's kind of a long shot on my wish list, but it was established earlier on in Marvel Legacy that certain entities exist even outside of time. And that's something we saw when Thanos destroyed the future timeline, which he actually didn't destroy, he got killed. But when that timeline evaporated, all reality disappeared and Mistress Death still remained. But another reason I believe this Thanos will also return, because eventually he needs to run into Cosmic Ghost Rider, who is attempting to re-raise a younger Thanos in an alternate universe. Mainly because Cosmic Ghost Rider knows how he turns out, he knows the different deeds that he's done, and when he crosses over into the Prime universe, which is really only a matter of time, a lot of these deeds haven't been done yet, and Cosmic Ghost Rider can once again use his memory as a source of history to show and teach the younger Thanos the way he should go versus the way he would have. And that's when present Thanos comes back from the dead and just kills everybody anyway. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, because now that we've wrapped up this particular part and present day Thanos is going to be on the shelf, so to speak, for a little bit, now we can get into more Infinity Wars Prime amongst a bunch of other stuff. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and we will do it again on the next one. Alright, later.